Hello, my name is Anastasia and welcome to Watercolor Art Cafe. In today's video we're going to start a little course that will be really useful for you, I hope, and it's going to be a portrait course, just small sketches and 4 different styles. We'll explore different ways how to create the portrait, and the small sketches is always great because when you don't have time, and a lot of us don't have time, or you stuck, that's the best way to go back into the painting process. So here's the example of what we're going to work on during this exercise course days, and today we're going to start with the first one, so let's go. It's going to be a small quick sketch, just the way to explore and practice. Also going to test the Tintoretto brushes set that I mentioned in my previous video. So we'll see how they actually work with real painting. And for paper, I'm just using 100% cotton arches paper. For the references, I'm just doing my self-portraits, but you can use any photos as an exact likeness. It's not our aim today, it's more about having fun and being creative. For the paint, I have my set. There is a mix of different watercolors like Core and Daniel Smith, and I have this dirty colors on my palette that I'm going to mix also in the skin tones and hair tones. So we're going to start with this one, for example, first, and we are doing it in wet on wet technique. So I'm going to pre-wet a dry paper first with just clean water. I'm applying it on the face everywhere except the highlight areas. So because in watercolor we know we don't use a white color usually, even though in the sketches you definitely can, as they're really small. But I will try to keep my water away from the highlights so they stay white after I apply my color. Now when the surface is pretty wet, I can start mixing my colors for the skin tone, and it's pretty much will be orange, red, yellow, a little bit of brownish colors. So all those you can mix together and in different proportions and try to find that perfect skin tone. I'm going to do it a little bit of pink on the pink side, but I also added that mud that you see previously on my palette into that color mix. So now I'm just trying to keep the color for my shadow. So I'm just creating the volume and thinking about my darkest and lightest areas on the face. So obviously on the neck they will be pretty dark, on the cheekbones, under the chin, under the lip in the chin area, and also the light is kind of coming from the right side, so that side will be the lightest. Let's create a little bit of negative effect with applying darker tones to the hair area. This will help to separate the face from the hair, and this will help us to show the light. And I'm going around the glasses again. You can already see how the face started to stand out against the hair. Come out, and here we're just finishing working on the hair. And while everything is wet, remember you still can drop darker tones inside those lighter tones, and that will let them flow naturally. So this is why I don't have a hard line between my face and hair. Everything is nice and smooth. Also adding some individual hairs here. You can also add them at the end as the details, and adding my hand skin tones. So there is a little bit we have on one side and on another, and this one is closer to the light source. I'm just adding a little bit more yellow in the skin tone, so it's warmer. And again, I'm adding a little bit darker colors, dropping them in to create some volume. For the ear, we can add a little bit more red color. Usually the nose and the ears, they have a little bit more red in their tones than the rest of the face. And that pink we also will continue on the cheekbone. Okay, now the chin. So we have a shadow from the bottom lip. So this area is a little bit darker here. And a little bit darker areas in the ears as well. So we're just going everywhere pretty much around, just trying to create that relationship between colors, between lighter and darker colors. Now it's time for the shadow from the glasses. So the shadow from the glasses we see on the face, so this is what I'm adding now. A little bit here, just a tiny bit darker, and I'm getting extra water off. Adding shadow on the nostril and create volume for the nose. And again, this side of the nose will be darker because the light is coming from the top right side. There's also shadow under the nose, and under the nose is usually also one of the darker spots, so we're adding some pigment there as well. Now let's touch the lips, and the top lip will be darker in this situation as the light will fall on the bottom one and the top one will be in the shadow. For the bottom one, I'm just creating a volume by making it a little darker on the left side and at the bottom. And this is good for our first layer, so let's try it really good and then add some darker areas and details. Okay, let's start work with the glasses. I'm just going to apply the wash of this orangey brown color everywhere around the glasses, and then I'm going to drop a darker color in that wash while it's still wet, so wet and wet, to create that pattern that the glasses have, that pattern of, I don't know how you would call it, cheetah, or yeah, so it's a combination of dark and light brown. Okay, let's start adding some details, and the darkest area on your face, it's usually nostril. So we're going to add some here. Also a lip line, that's another really dark spot, but try to keep it a little bit inconsistent, so change the how thick your line is and how thin your line is, so it's not everywhere the same. So we're also going to add some eyebrows, again really natural, some strokes in direction of how hair grow, but don't be too specific because the scale of this painting is really tiny. Now we are creating our eyes. So again, I'm going to add some brown color and some darker color at the top as the eyelid creates a shadow on the eyeball. And I'm also going to add pupil that will be darker color. So this is what we are creating for details of the eye, and then after that we are going to make darker areas under the eye and above the eye to create the volume again, because our face is not flat. Continue working on eyelid, and here we have a shadow. Again, the left side will be darker, and also some shadow here as well. Back to my nose. This sketch is not going to be too dark. I'm trying to keep them as light as possible, but at the same time have the shape readable. A little bit darker on the tip of the nose as well, and this helps to bring it forward, closer to us. Back to our negative effect. Now I'm getting even darker color into the hair, and this area of the hair, it's also in the shadow, so this will be one of the darkest tones in our painting. Now I can just add a little bit more water and spread it around to create that hair really nice and smooth without trying to show every single hair. That's a mistake that often happens when you try to create each hair instead of trying to create volume of your hair. So you still keep strokes in the direction of how hair grow or lay, but at the same time you're not aiming to paint every single hair, you're aiming to create the volume. Okay, let's add shadow under the chin, on the neck. That will really help to make that face stand out. Dropping just a little bit of a teal color here for interest and reflection, and mix it together so it's smooth with the rest of the neck. and working negative again. Okay, just couple more details and we're done. Just touching ears, a little bit of eyes, eyelashes you can add, but don't be again too specific. Nostril. So just all the little details. Now this is your last step, and like I said, we're going to keep it really fresh. So we're not going to overwork it, or we're trying not to overwork it. We're going to stop here. After those details, you can also add maybe some hair if you want, here and there, maybe dark hair, some spots, just for the contrast. And after that we are done. And the piece is complete. Next time we'll do the second one, but for today, that's it. See you next time.